Hello lovelies, welcome back to Squeaky's Cauldron. I'm Sarah Evergreen. This episode today is a little extra bonus. It is an excerpt from an extended episode that I recorded and released for my Patreons on the Air and Fire tiers. If you are interested in seeing the entire episode as well as getting special shoutouts on this YouTube channel and the podcast and community tarot readings for the new and full moon, go ahead and head over to my Patreon page. You can find the link in the show notes. Speaking of Patreon shoutouts, we've got Kim T, Daniela Respress, Valerie Feel, Samantha Eden, and Haitham Ismail. Thank you so much for your support. And without further ado, back into Lemuria, an bonus excerpt for you. The Lemurians were said to be peaceful, nature-loving. They were said to be non-hierarchical. It was said that they didn't use any money, they didn't care about technology, they just existed on this big piece of land, completely holding hands and singing Kumbaya, essentially. It was said that they traveled the globe and settled in different areas of the globe and cohabited and melted into the populations of other areas, particularly an island off of the coast of Portugal, which is said to be Atlantis. So the Lemurian people lived on Lemuria, but the Lemurian people also traveled around the world. But they traveled around the world in a way that didn't need technology. And we can think of technology as computers and stuff, but technology is also like how to read the stars, how to navigate, how to understand the world around you, and creating devices and structures in order to kind of bring a cohesion to that. So these people didn't care about technology, yet they were traveling the globe and settling down with other people, but nobody was settling in Lemuria. Okay. They were also said to have psychic abilities, to have a particular link to God, divinity, however you want to put it, because of their nature-loving, peaceful ways. There's some talk that Lemurians didn't just settle, obviously, on Atlantis, but that a lot of them settled in Tibet, in Malaysia, and Peru. Rhetoric around this then becomes that these people, Tibetans, Malaysians, Peruvians, the indigenous people have this special blood, essentially. So there's this idea with Tibetans in particular that Tibetans are that peaceful, non-hierarchical, no money culture, which is very tempting to buy into. It's a very tempting bit of, again, of rhetoric that has been used with the indigenous people of the Americas, which has been used with indigenous people across the globe, really, that they existed in this way that was so superior to the way that we exist now, that actually erases how they actually lived. It erases their past. It erases our human past. And that is an incredibly dangerous thing to do, because how do we learn? We learn from our past mistakes. We learn from the things that we did before. And how do we know that we're making choices that are beneficial and helpful? It's because we can choose not to make choices that harm and hurt. And if there's this idea that there was this group of people that were so superior that they never ever did anything that was harmful or hurtful, to me, it takes away a level of autonomy that is the standard of being human. We always have the option to be assholes, but we always also have the option to be sweet dudes, you know? The people of Tibet have a long history of violence and wars and intertribal skirmishes, just like every single other culture in the world. And to claim that they don't, yeah, like I said, it erases something very important. They, as a people, committed to nonviolence, I believe, in 1979, in response to China and the Chinese military being a bunch of fucking dicks. But before that, like, they fought. There was violence, not just against the Chinese incursion, but against each other. The same can be said for the indigenous people of the Americas. The same can be said for just humans in general. Okay, so getting back specifically to Lemuria, though, what is the problem with thinking that there's this, okay, I'm going to say it, this race of people that's perfect? The words that just came out of my mouth. We've got these people who are telling us that there are these special people, this special bloodline. You can see this with the starseed rhetoric as well, with the Pleiadian rhetoric, with obviously the Lemurian rhetoric. There's other stuff. You can see it with the Nazi rhetoric. This is racism in action. This is divisiveness in action. Wow, I feel like I'm going to cry because it makes me so angry to have something that has this veneer of spirituality and goodness associated with it that is actively dividing people and creating a hierarchy that should not exist, but that does exist because we're human, and we do that naturally. But to put it under the guise of God, that gets me. That really gets me. Did Lemuria exist? Maybe. Did it exist in the way that is purported to have existed? Did Lemurians live the way that they were purported to live? Fuck no. Fuck no. Because they were human. If they existed at all, they were human. And we're kind of dumb a lot of the time. We're constantly learning and growing, though, too, which is great. And to take that away from us is to take away the thing that is most important about being human, in my opinion, and that is the ability to change. That is the ability to see our past mistakes and course correct. Fetishizing and romanticizing older cultures as being somehow perfect creates a narrative of shame. And shame is not welcome here. Shame is the posture that I am broken. We are broken. And it takes away our ability to make choices, to make changes. Because that means that there's something inherently wrong with us. And what are we supposed to do then? Continuing the rhetoric that there are some people who have Lemurian blood. There are some people who are star seeds. Creates hierarchies, creates division. And that is so anti everything that I understand about spirit and how spirit works and how God works. So that's my hot take on Lemuria. This is, again, the very first of these, so I am definitely learning and exploring esoterically. Let me know if you have anything that you would like me to dive into and talk about and give my vehement opinion about, because I most probably will. These episodes are a place for me to explore occult and esoteric history, essentially, and the things that have risen out of them.